Welcome to Stop and Scare. I'm so glad you found me. Stay a while and please let me scare the hell out of you. Please subscribe if you are new to the channel and leave a like so it helps the video grow. If you would like your story featured on an upcoming video, email it to the email in the description box below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a good scare. Story number 1. My school's library is open until 2 a.m. for the idiots like me who don't do their essays until the last minute. It's a pretty small building, and most of the books are in the basement area called the stacks. Just to give you a quick layout, there's the big main stairs that go down to the stacks, a vending machine room, and a long hallway with 4 entrances into the stacks. The stacks are 2 really big rooms on opposite sides of the hallway, with a huge amount of bookshelves and study desks lining the walls. I was there around 11 p.m. last year. It was a pretty research-intensive essay, so I was down in the stacks working in one of the study desks, so I didn't have to keep going downstairs and downstairs again. I'd been there for maybe 2 hours, and everyone except for a boy working a few desks down from me had left already. I was pretty zoned out by this point. It was an 8 a.m. class, so I didn't have much time until it was due, and I was sort of panicking, so it really pissed me off when I heard someone flipping through book pages really fast to make them do that loud whir noise at the other end of the room. I sort of ignored it for a while, thinking that they would go away eventually, but they just kept doing it. After about 5 minutes, I got sick of it and started to walk over to tell them to knock it off. I get about 3 steps across the room, and it just stopped. I sat back down, and it was quiet again for 10 more minutes before the flipping pages noise started again, only louder and louder, like they grabbed a huge book that last time. The boy started to get pissed off too, and he stood up and started walking through the bookshelves trying to find them. It keeps going, so I get up too and started looking around with him. It got really loud, and it was obvious where it was coming from by that point, so we started walking towards it. He was on one side of the shelves, and I was on the other. We walked all the way down the shelves. No one there. We hadn't seen anyone come in the stacks, and we were on the side of the room with the entrances. No way could anyone have come in without us seeing them. The noise stopped again, and we both just sort of slowly walked back to our seats. I assumed it was just a fan or something in the other room, and I really needed to get my essay done. We sat down and immediately the noise started again. It sounded like it was coming right next to the guy's chair. He shoved his stuff in his bag, looked at me, said, "Fuck this," and took off. I was out of there maybe 5 seconds behind him. I still won't go back in the stacks at night, even when there's other people down there. No essay is worth getting murdered by a weird book ghost. Story number 2. I was parked on the side street of my house with my friend. I live next to a dead-end road. The road faces 2 other houses, and all of my neighbors park their cars there. My friend didn't want to be rude to my family and block them in with her car, so she parked on the right side of the street so it would be easier for her to drive out and go home. My neighbor has a trailer, the kind you hook onto the back of your car. My friend lives with her parents, and she switches the cars that she uses frequently. We were in her dad's old beater Toyota Camry. I didn't get out of the car immediately because I wanted to talk for a little while before I went inside. All of a sudden, my neighbor, which I hadn't yet realized at the time was my neighbor, pulled up right next to our car. He got out of the car and started walking towards the door. I know that we made the wrong decision when this happened, but we were afraid. It was after dark, we were both girls, and he is a heavy-set bald man, so my friend put it in reverse and got out of there. Her intention was to go drive somewhere and wait 10 or more minutes before finally dropping me off, because she didn't want me walking inside alone while he was still there. I agreed, so we turned the street to leave. This is not what happened. What did happen was right after we turned, we saw another car. We just figured it was another car until we realized it was the same guy in the truck. We proceeded to drive across town trying to lose him. He honked his horn, turned the high beams on, and was driving up our ass the whole time. My friend somehow managed to not drive recklessly the entire time this was happening. We called the police soon after he started chasing us, and my friend started driving over to the police station while we were on the phone with the operator. We pulled into the parking lot of the police station, and he followed us. We proceeded to drive in circles around the parking lot. About 3 or 4 times he waited there on the other side of the lot to try and hit us with his car. He did this until an officer showed up and blocked him in. Then we both parked and started talking to the officer. Apparently, because we were in an old beater car and we were parked behind his trailer, he was convinced we were trying to steal stuff from him. He was still screaming when he was parked, and the officer was talking to him. The officer told both of us it was a misunderstanding and told us to go home. We went back with me and my friend's mother to the police station to ask about having officers patrol the area for a while. I'm currently in my house. This happened in the evening around 10 p.m. My neighbor got off with a warning, and he is in the house right next door. I don't think I'll be sleeping tonight. I know that I can't really do anything because he lives next door. I'm afraid to press charges in case he gets violent. I don't know if he actually thought we were going to steal from him, or he's on drugs or just crazy. But yeah, to my neighbor, I hope I don't have the misfortune to ever running into you again. Story number 3. I was in 9th grade at a really shitty school. The system there sucked, and it was located in a dangerous area of the city I lived in. I actually just remembered the story because it was so unusual for things like this to happen there that for me it was just normal, so I forgot. But looking back at it now, I realize that it's not normal. I was in PE class, and we were running laps around the school on the sidewalk to stretch. I was with my friend group of 5 girls, and we were walking behind as always, because PE for us was talking about school drama all period. We were walking and talking about the recent drama when a red truck slowed down behind us. It wasn't unusual. Every time we were walking outside of the school, a creepy man would slow down, so we didn't think anything of it and just kept walking and ignoring him. We saw his truck 2 or 3 more times. He was driving around the school and slowing down every time he passed by us. So we decided to tell our teacher, and she made us go back inside the gym. We started playing whatever game we were doing, and the teacher came to me and told me that I was asked to the main office because someone was here to pick me up. I was panicking because no one was supposed to pick me up during class that day, and I thought that maybe something bad had happened to either my mom or my dad or someone in my family. So I got changed into my normal clothes, grabbed my backpack, and rushed to the office. When I got there, the lady told me that there was a man waiting for me outside of the main doors. I got a little confused because usually my parents came to pick me up. They'd wait in the hall until I got there. I got a little confused when my parents came to pick me up. They'd wait in the hall until I got there. I took a look through the glass door and saw an old man. I'd never seen this man before in my life. I quickly walked back to the office and told the lady that I didn't know him, and what she told me next froze me with fear. She told me he said he was a friend of my parents, and that they asked him to pick me up because my mother was in a horrific car accident. He told the lady my name and my last name, my age, my mom's name, and the grade I was in. I was shocked and immediately asked her if I could call my parents to confirm. I called my dad, and he told me that my mom was just fine and that she was working. The lady just told me to go back to class, and I never saw that man again. I never knew what happened after I left, and how did he know all of that information about me? My parents talked to the cops about this, and there was never anything that came of it. We never got any answers. Since that happened, I moved into a much safer city, and I hope I never see this man again. Story number 4. This is about weird encounters I've had with a music teacher back in high school. I was 16 when I was taking orchestra classes when I was in high school. Now, it's important to mention that I was incredibly quiet and shy back then and had trouble with confrontation. When I was in 10th grade, our orchestra teacher, Miss K, left the position, and they rehired our new teacher. Our new teacher, I will call him Mr. S, was generally disliked by everyone. He was in his 50s to early 60s. He was already imposing because of his size, but it made it worse how he treated his female students. One day in class, we were all struggling to play a song correctly. Mr. S became so frustrated and didn't think any of us understood the beat of the song. He looked around the class, saying he needed a volunteer. Everyone fell silent, including me, but I had the misfortune of locking eyes with him. He then called my name and waved me up to the front of the room. What happened next was not something anyone was expecting. I picked up my instrument, which was a cello, to take up front with me, and he said, "No, leave your instrument, just you." Now, I was very confused, but I did as he said. I walked up to his side, and he instructed me to stand in front of him. At this point, the class was beginning to snicker, and I was just very uncomfortable. "Move closer." I took a small step towards him, and at this point I was too scared to look at his face. All I could see was his buttoned shirt in front of me. He made me walk closer until I was inches from him. Then, he moved my arm up and put my hand in his. He proceeded to make me slow dance with him for what felt like forever as he counted the beat. I let go of his hand at one point and tried walking back to my seat, but he grabbed my arm and pulled me back, saying, "Not yet." After this was over, and I went to my other classes, I learned that in each period of the day, he had chosen a female student to dance with him, regardless if the class was struggling to understand the beat. Unfortunately, this was not the end to what felt like unwanted attention from him. He would somehow find me in the hallways and would try to have talks with me about anything, even though I mostly kept to myself and didn't cause trouble in class. I got to a point that my friends understood how I felt and knew to say something to me when they saw him. Every time, without fail, he always managed to put his hands on my shoulders when he talked to me, even if I was already backed against a wall. He wouldn't let me leave, and I was too scared to say anything. He could find me in a crowd, easily. He didn't do anything to my knowledge that was punishable, but to me, something always felt off about him. So, to my creepy music teacher, let's not meet again, motherfucker. Story number 5. So, my friends and I were in a seaside Italian town called Anzio. The first night we were here, one of them got very drunk, and we really wanted to go to the beach and watch the ocean. Our other friends told us not to go, because they were scared that we will get into the ocean and drown, but we promised them never to touch the water. We went off at 2 a.m., and the way over to the beach was smooth. There were only a few cars and maybe 2 or 3 passerbys. We sat at some stairs near the beach until 3 a.m. because then it got too cold. We started to go in the direction of our home after that. In the middle of our trip home, a white car stopped near us. A man lowered his windshield and said,
"Police, show us your documents."
It was very obvious that he wasn't with the police. He looked drunk and very scary. He repeated that phrase a few times. My friend and I didn't really say much apart from my friend warning the guy about a scooter that was trying to pass him. He then did a quick half turn, and at first I thought that he was going to run us over. It was a pretty narrow alley with nowhere to go, so that would have been very easy for him to do. But he only blocked our way and he shouted,
"Run, run."
We were freaked out and started running as fast as we could. We hid in a dark place near a tunnel, and my friend said that he drove past us, but I didn't see him. We waited there for a few minutes and then ran back home. I wonder what could have happened if he really was chasing us. My bet is that he wasn't doing anything too nefarious and just wanted to scare us anyway. But if he was chasing us and we just didn't notice, maybe he really wanted to run us over or do something even worse. What do you think? Well, I know what I think. I want to thank you for watching this video until the very end, showing your support for my new channel. If you would like your story featured on an upcoming video, email the email in the description box below. Until we meet again, thank you for stopping by for a scare.